While the Vatican City sees a lot of tourists every single year, there are still many secrets that stay hidden. Today we are going to be diving into this secret world while we cover the top 10 terrifying secrets hidden inside of the Vatican. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have exorcisms. So one would think that exorcisms would be strictly reserved for horror movies and the like, but that is simply not true. They are definitely a real-life nightmare, and the former chief exorcist of the Vatican certainly knows all about them. The late priest, Father Gabriel Amorth, served in this position for more than 60 years, and throughout his career he is said to have performed approximately 160,000 exorcisms. That's an insane number. What's even more concerning is it's not like he's the only one doing them. There are tons of priests who perform these things. So much so that there's a workshop at the Vatican that has welcomed 250 priests from across the world to learn how to perform such a thing. This is all to say that a lot more exorcisms are happening than I would have liked to think. In our number 9 spot today, we have the man on trial. Okay, history is full of a lot of weird stuff, especially when it comes to laws and court and all of that stuff. Things were really different back then, and this is an example of just how different. In 897 AD, the Catholic Church put a dead man on trial. People have definitely been held accountable after death in our modern society. A posthumous trial can be held for a variety of reasons, but that's not what happened here. No, they actually exhumed the body of this man after he had been dead for 7 months already, and they literally brought his body to the courtroom. Necessary? Probably not. Dramatic? Most certainly. I thought jury duty now was bad. Imagine being the jury for that trial. This man on trial was Pope Formosus, and he was being accused of usurping the papacy. In the end, he was found guilty of this. All of his acts as pope were declared null and void. His body was then stripped of all official garments and instead dressed in rags. His 3 fingers of benediction were cut off and his body was thrown into the river. They very obviously took this all very seriously. In our number 8 spot today, we have Wine Wednesday. Okay, this one might not be terrifying, but I guess that depends on how you feel about wine. According to reports, it is said that the wine consumption in the Vatican is greater than any other country. Like, statistically, the average person living in the Vatican consumes 20 gallons of wine every year. It's a lot of wine. That's 3 times the average of someone in the UK, 6 times as much as someone in the US, and twice as much as the typical resident of France and Italy. If only there wasn't so much other creepy stuff going on in the Vatican, it might actually be a good time. In our number 7 spot today, we have the crime rate. The Vatican is the smallest state in the world in terms of both area size and population size. Despite this fact, however, it still manages to have one of the highest crime rates in the entire world. Not what you would think for the Holy State, right? The crime rate in the Vatican is said to be 20 times higher than the crime rate in Italy. It's said that there is 1.5 crimes per person. It is said that this is due to the high number of tourists, which makes the area a pickpocket's dream. But who's to say for sure if that's the case? Either way, best to keep your eyes and ears peeled if you're ever walking through those streets, apparently. In our number 6 spot today, we have the digital world. Okay, definitely less terrifying and more just bizarre, or I guess surprising is probably the right way to put it. During his time in the position, Pope Benedict XVI liked to send text messages to his subscribers around the world. Surprisingly, in 2009, the Vatican even opened up a YouTube channel to show different papal addresses and ceremonies. To take this all even a step further, the Vatican even had an app for smartphones. Imagine being the person who created it. The app contained multiple different versions in different languages of a prayer book and the prayers of daily mass. Just months before his resignation, Pope Benedict XVI even got a Twitter account. So, the papacy is going digital, apparently. In our number 5 spot today, we have the secret archives. The secret archives of the Vatican are one of the best known things about the entire state, but what exactly is in them remains much of a mystery. The archives are 53 miles long, and there are thousands and thousands of catalogs. Only scholars can access these catalogs, but it still takes quite a bit of time and effort to get a pass to see them. Also, once you're there, you have to request what you want. There's no browsing the archives allowed. The official purpose of these archives is to house important paperwork and things pertaining to the Pope, but many people have speculated about all the secrets that these archives could be holding. Considering how many things and stories most of us have heard about what secrets may be hiding in the Vatican, one can only guess what atrocities may lurk in some of the pages found in these archives. In our number 4 spot today, we have the bank. The Institute for Works of Religion, also known as the Vatican Bank, is certainly no stranger to scandal, as it has definitely seen its fair share over the years. This bank was first established during World War II, during a time that Italy was fighting against the Allied forces. Out of all of the controversies throughout the years, the bank and their dealings with the guy who we'll call Adolf Hitler, for the sake of this video, is by far the most controversial. It has been reported that the Vatican received a considerable church tax from the evil guy annually. A lot of this money was paid this way so that it couldn't be tracked by Western banks, and this is kind of how the IOR became known as the world's top offshore bank. The Catholic Church has, of course, made use of the IOR to store tons and tons of its money, the extent of which has never been revealed to the public, so we will likely never know exactly what went on with all of these shady World War II dealings. In our number 3 spot today, we have family ties. This is something that really came to light in 1982. In that year, the Vatican Bank president resigned from the role after a series of scandals that ended up exposing the bank's ties to the mafia. In the end, the bank had to repay more than $200 million to its creditors because of this entire scandal. The bank president was never indicted on any of these crimes, but he has been suspected of not only these crimes, but also being involved in several mysterious deaths. Like, what in the world? This is so wild. In the end, he had diplomatic immunity in the United States, and he retired in Arizona in the 1990s, where he lived out the rest of his life. In our number 2 spot today, we have tax evasion. So there's a rule where the Vatican enjoys a property tax break for all non-commercial properties that contain a chapel. It's a pretty sweet deal, and they apparently decided to try and kind of take advantage of that a little bit. Between the years 2001 and 2006, the Vatican allegedly kind of evaded taxes that amounted to a cool 4 billion euros. The European Court of Justice, of course, ruled this entire thing illegal, and that is why the Vatican had to later procure 4 billion euros as post-dated tax. Many people speculate that this is just a drop in the bucket of what they owe in evaded taxes, but I don't even know how to do my own taxes, so who am I to say? In our number 1 spot today, we have the secret court. This one isn't so much a secret anymore, but it was up until 2009. The Vatican has a secret court for sins that are based on conscience. The bishops who handle these hearings are known as the Tribunal of Conscience, and this whole idea was created by Pope Alexander in 1179, and like I mentioned, was kept a secret from the public until 2009. The sins that this court sees range from the spitting out of a communion wafer all the way to things like priests breaking their vow of celibacy, and I'm sure a lot more stuff that we just won't even get into. You know, fun stuff. The tribunal, of course, considers these matters, but the decision-making in the end lies with the major penitentiary. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thanks so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you next time. Bye! The man on trial was Porp Formosus. Porp? I just said porp. That's so funny. Okay. But the decision-making in the end lies with the major penitentiary.